Hey guys, Ziggy here, and today I'm going to be going through part of my vinyl collection, specifically studio albums. So we'll start with one of the newer ones, which is AltJ's debut album. Honestly, probably one of my favourite albums of the last year. Special about it is that it comes on really high quality white vinyl. Favourite song on the album? Probably Something Good, but I mean they're all good really. You've got Tessellate, Breeze Blocks, which is the famous one with the controversial video, Matilda, Fitzpleasure. Overall, really good album, probably 4.5 out of 5. Highly recommend it. Bit on the pricier side though, because it is new. Next up is Sign of the Hammer by Manowar. Some of the songs stand out a lot more than the other ones. Thor the Powerhead and Sign of the Hammer, I'd say probably the main two that stand out to me, but generally pretty good power metal album. I saw it in a market stall near where I live and I thought it'd be worth picking up. Next up is Warrant, Cherry Pie. Song that pretty much everyone's heard, let's be honest. But, it's not the only good song on the album. Bit of a cheesy album, not gonna lie, but, songs on it are alright, so, and Cherry Pie, it's a classic. You can't not like the song Cherry Pie. So, if you could find it on single, unless you're a serious Warrant fan, probably just worth getting the single, because the rest of the album, it's not that it's bad, it just wouldn't say it lives up to the hype of the actual song Cherry Pie. Next up is the first of two of a hell of a good band, right? They're called Rush, and quite an old band, but they've had some hits throughout the years. Specifically on this, which is Moving Pictures. They've got Tom Sawyer, which is one of their most famous songs ever, and YYZ, which is also a great song. You've got Limelight, another good song. It's just a good album, generally. I'd recommend it if I saw it, if you happen to see it wherever you live. The other Rush album that I have is Permanent Waves. Whilst, again, being a good album, there's one song specifically on the album, which is the very first song, the very first side, which is The Spirit of Radio, which is an incredible song. The guitar is phenomenal. And honestly, I'd say probably worth getting the album just for that song alone, if you can only find the album, because the rest of the songs are really good as well, but that song specifically, The Spirit of Radio, absolutely worth getting and listening to. Bit of a more obscure one next. It is Gasoline Junkie by Jellyfish Kiss. Now, when I bought this, I'd never actually heard of the band before, but judging by the front, I just assumed, probably punk rock, because, there's a guy on fire. Punk rock probably springs to mind. But in actual fact, looked it up, they're an alternative rock band. And a pretty good one at that, honestly. Not a very long album, only, a little bit more than half an hour. There's only about 5 songs on it. But, if you like some of the more unusual rock, then I'd say try it. If you can find it online to listen to first, I probably would, because it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. But I enjoyed it, so yeah. If you see it, it might be worth picking up if you happen to be a fan of alt rock. This is one of, if not my favourite album of all time, and that is The Doors' debut album. There's just so many good songs on this album. You got Break On Through to the Other Side, 20th Century Fox, the Alabama song, which is used in the background of quite a few things to do with drinking. Light My Fire is an incredible song. The End of the Night is an incredible song. But personally, and it's not many people's opinion, I don't think, but my favourite song on this album is the third song, Crystal Ship. There's just something about Crystal Ship that I think is just an incredible song, very tantalising, it draws you in, but at the same time it's very relaxed, makes you kind of sleepy. This is one of the few vinyls I own that I specifically went online to buy rather than just waiting to find in the shops, because it's just so good. It's such a good album. I definitely recommend it. If I was going to give 5 out of 5 stars to an album, this one. Next up we have Ghost in the Machine by The Police. I wouldn't say it's their best album ever, but it's definitely got a few good songs on it. Spirits in the Material World, which is the opening song, is good. The second song, Every Little Thing Shows Its Magic, that's one of my favourite Police songs. It's not like the rest of the songs on the album are bad or anything. It's definitely a good album. It's just, that's the one I'd say that stands out the most to me. But I'd still recommend it, I'd say. Next up, we have Hunting High and Low by Aha. Cheesy album, not gonna lie, but I enjoyed it. Take On Me, their most famous song, is the first song on the album. Great way to start off. But that doesn't mean the rest of the songs on the album are bad by any means. You got Hunting High and Low, which the album's named after, is also a really good song. The song after it, The Blue Sky, another great song. So, if you're a fan of New Romantics, worth checking out. This next one is one of my favourite vinyls, by far, and that is Power Slave by Iron Maiden. Phenomenal album. Any heavy metal fan will know this album. It's got Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Power Slave, which are, three of their most famous songs. Iron Maiden, obviously one of the better known metal bands ever. So it's just a fantastic album in general. Hard to find a fault really without nitpicking. So and it's an essential for a heavy metal fan. It's just so good. Next we have Nice and Easy by Frank Sinatra. This was a gift given to me quite a long time ago now. But I enjoy Frank Sinatra's music. I have a couple of greatest hits of his on vinyl that you'll see in the other video about compilations. Wouldn't say this is one of his best albums. There's none of the really famous Sinatra songs on it, like Fly Me to the Moon. But it's good, easy listening, as the name of the album suggests. Next up is one of two Billy Joel albums, and that is Glass Houses. Wouldn't say it's one of his best albums, but it's certainly not a bad album either. I listen to this more as background music, something to relax to, rather than, when I have the urge to go and put on a record. But it's, definitely a good album. Wouldn't say it's the better of the two I have, so I'd recommend the other one. But not a bad album if you're a Billy Joel fan. And the second, and what I consider the better of the two, is The Stranger. Really good album, this. The Stranger, quite a well-known song. I enjoyed Billy Joel's music. Sadly, neither of these two have Piano Man, which is my favourite song by Billy Joel, but I'm sure I'll get around to getting it at some point. Definitely positive reviews. I'd say it's a really good album. Next we have one of two Beach Boys albums, and that is Smiley Club. I got this album specifically for one song on it, and that would be the first song on side 2, which is Good Vibrations, which I consider to be one of their best songs ever, as I'm sure quite a lot of people do. Definitely a good album. Wouldn't say the rest of the songs quite live up to Good Vibrations, but worth checking out. And the other, and what I would consider the better of the two in general, is Shutdown Volume 2. Great album. Every song on the album is good. But specifically is the first song, the first side, which is Fun, 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 which is just, as the name suggests, it's a fun song. It's really enjoyable, very pleasant to listen to, and it's the kind of thing that I'd say it'd cheer you up if you're feeling down. It'd be a good song to listen to, so definitely check that out. Up next is one of two Bruce Springsteen albums I have, and that is Tunnel of Love. It's a decent album. It's Bruce Springsteen, so it's going to be all right, but wouldn't say it's one of his best. I got this one pretty cheap, which is the reason I got it, but it's not bad. I'd definitely listen to it if you're a fan of Bruce Springsteen, but if you're going out of your way to get a Springsteen album, wouldn't say this one. What I would say, however, is the classic Born in the USA. It's just an iconic album. So many good songs on it. And the title, Born in the USA, is an incredibly famous song. Somehow not the cheesiest song on the album. Sadly, like the Billy Joel albums, neither of the two have my favourite song by the artist, which would be The River. But definitely a great album. Highly recommend it. Definitely worth checking out. Not so much an album, this next one, but I wouldn't say it's a compilation either, so I put it in this. And that is Vivaldi's Four Seasons. But it's in a different language. No singing anyway, so it doesn't matter. Very, very famous classical piece, The Four Seasons. I picked this up for its legacy more than anything, to be honest. But definitely good. Definitely would recommend it. Again, good background music. But if you're into classical, then you probably already own this. Definitely worth checking out if you can find it. Up next is another classic metal album, and that is Sabotage by Black Sabbath. Not the biggest Black Sabbath fan in the world, but again, mostly just because I've never really put in the time to listening to them. I know the obvious ones like Iron Man, War Pigs, Paranoid, but this album is just fantastic. There isn't a bad song on the album. If you're thinking of Black Sabbath albums to get, This one probably wouldn't be the first one to spring to mind, probably something like Volume 4, but still, absolutely fantastic. I would highly recommend it. This next one may be the epitome of cheesy music, but at the same time, it's still fantastic. And that is Europe's The Final Countdown. I bought this, not gonna lie, just because of the song The Final Countdown. But when I listened to it, I realised that the other songs on the album actually hold their own against The Final Countdown. Rock the Night is a great song, Danger on the Tracks is a good song, Heart of Stone. But I'd say the song on this that stands out the most to me actually was Carrie, which was pretty surprising, but much better than I thought it would be as an album in general. So yeah, I'd say it's worth listening to, definitely. This next one is an old album, but a much newer print of it, and that is Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. This was my 18th birthday present off one of my best friends, and it's just phenomenal. Everyone has heard of this album. It's got so many classic songs on it. It's got Welcome to the Jungle, Night Train, Sweet Child of Mine, Rocket Queen, all fantastic songs. Paradise City. The bonus of it being a reprint, I guess, is that it's on really good, thick, high-quality vinyl, so this thing's going to last a hell of a long time, like the AltJ one. So, absolutely get this album. 100%. So I decided I'd save 3 or 4 of my absolute favourites for last, and these are the albums that I think, of all the albums I own on vinyl, are the best. So, we will start with this. As you could probably tell, there is no mention of any band or any songs on the cover. So if you can't tell what it is just by looking at it, then you're a bit stumped. And even on the one side of the insert, there's no writing. But if you look at the back, you'll see that this is Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. I'd hand to heart say this is one of the best albums of all time. Certainly best British albums of all time. It's got the Shine On You Crazy Diamond part. It's got Wish You Were Here, which is fantastic. And my personal favourite Pink Floyd song, which is Welcome to the Machine. And it's just such a good album. If I wake up thinking, you know, I want to listen to some vinyl, this will probably be one of the first albums I pick up. I can't recommend this album enough. It's that good. So, it's Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd. Next up is this, which is Armed Forces by Elvis Costello. The reason this vinyl stood out to me compared to the others was the back of it, which is unusual for a vinyl. But as you'll see, it is actually comprised of panels that all unfold to reveal the casing for the vinyl. And they all have wacky and wonderful pieces of art on them that are in absolutely no way related, but that's part of what makes it great. The album itself is just fantastic. It's got Oliver's Army on it, which is definitely their most famous song ever. But all in all, just a really good album. Definitely a classic, and I would definitely recommend this album. So anyone that knows me and how I got the nickname Ziggy will know why this next album is so important to me. And that is The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars by David Bowie. That's a mouthful. I love David Bowie so much, as many of my close friends will know. He's my favourite singer of all time. And this album is just so special to me. Obviously, it's got a lot more sentimental value than it might have to some people, but still, definitely a fantastic album. It's got 5 Years, Soul Love, Moon Age Daydream, which is fantastic, Starman, which is fantastic, Ziggy Stardust, which is fantastic. They're all just such good songs. I don't know enough words to describe how much I love this album, so 5 out of 5. Absolutely get this album if you can. Next we have what is considered by many to be one of the best albums ever created, because it features a song that is considered to be one of, if not the best songs of all time, and that is Led Zeppelin 4. No writing on the front or back, or on the inside, which features this cool kind of hallowing artwork. On the insert, you'll see it has the lyrics to said famous song, and the songs on the back. Yet, still, no mention whatsoever of the fact that this is a Led Zeppelin album. And that song, of course, as many will know, is Stairway to Heaven. A British legend, if not a worldwide legend. You know, Stairway to Heaven is a song that is loved everywhere. Led Zeppelin 4. You should own this if you can. Even just as a collector's piece, this album is just fantastic. Last, and most certainly not least, we have what I would consider to be the best album ever made, on Earth, on Mars, anywhere. And that, of course, is the musical masterpiece that is Whenever You Need Somebody by Rick Astley. Nah, I'm just kidding. But, yeah, never gonna give you up. It's a funny song. Everyone likes that song. You say you hate it, but, you know, secretly you love it. Yeah, that'll do it for this section of my vinyl collection videos. So, thank you for watching if you stuck around to the end, and hopefully I will see you again soon.